Smithsonian has come out with a handy new infographic to tell us all about whiteness. And according to them, things like a healthy family, hard work, success, manners, responsibility, and lawful behavior are all inherent traits of white culture, because blacks are just too stupid, poor, careless, and lazy to do anything decent with themselves. You don't have to take my word for it. After all, liberal policies have been proving this theory for generations. This is exactly what the left thinks of minorities. The Smithsonian just said it out loud. The National Museum of African American History and Culture published an infographic on their website this week, giving us a huge list of things that are supposedly white, characteristics and traits that they say are specific to white culture. Included on this list of apparently white things are objective rational thinking, an emphasis on hard work, a nuclear family, respect for authority, planning for the future, and being polite. The list comes from a book written in the 90s by a woman named Judith Katz, who, as you may have guessed, is whiter than a polar bear in a blizzard.
Is that a polar bear directing traffic down there?
She's written a slew of books on diversity, including one called White Awareness, a handbook for anti-racism training, which you know is an interesting title for somebody who apparently thinks non-white people are dumber than a sack of rocks and aren't smart enough to lead successful, responsible lives. But never mind that this nonsense is about as racist as a Klan meeting, the Smithsonian is promoting it anyway. Thanks, taxpayers. Because you know, nothing says let's fight racism quite like painting non-white people as a bunch of unintelligent, irresponsible losers. But the real story here isn't whether the Smithsonian stepped in at big time and needs to fire whoever runs their website. In fact, this isn't about the Smithsonian at all. It's about what the left really thinks of black people. And it's all right here. This is what they think. It's not a guess, they literally just said it verbatim. That the nuclear family, where children grow up with a mom and a dad and where the father provides for his kids, that is an inherently white concept because for some reason, black people are too stupid or too lazy or too busy running around like animals in a gutter to stick together and take care of their own kids. That's what they think. That objective, rational, linear thinking and cause and effect relationships are somehow white concepts because blacks must be too stupid to understand basic logic. That owning property and goods is white, so black folks just aren't successful or wealthy enough to own anything or even want to. This is what the left thinks. That black people are incapable of respecting authority, that they're too dumb to plan for the future, that they can't do anything on time, that they can't speak with proper grammar or have manners or take personal responsibility. Because the King's English and being polite and being self-reliant are all listed under examples of supposed whiteness, according to this list. I cannot imagine how insulting this must be to black Americans, or any non-white American for that matter. Especially those whose close relatives were immigrants who worked their tails off to get here, or those that scratched and clawed their way out of some inner city hellhole to carve out a good life for themselves and their families. Or maybe those who've spent generations living in the suburbs or rural towns and whose children will never know poverty or fatherlessness or gang violence because their parents and grandparents took control of their own lives and fought for something better. Just like generations of white people have done, because success has absolutely nothing to do with your race. How insulting must it be to be told that personal accountability and a strong family and a work ethic are inherently white things that don't naturally belong in black culture? That the cycles of broken homes and poverty and welfare are just the best blacks will ever do because that's just who they are because of the color of their skin? That is not who black people are, but it's who the left needs them to be. After all, you need people to be desperate and broken and poor and unemployed and dependent to get them to vote for all of the government scraps that you keep promising to throw their way. You need them to think that is the best they can and will ever do, and that anything better can only be achieved through racism so that they will stay stuck in the mud pit that liberal policies have shoved them in for decades. That's the left's ace in the hole. Because the day inner city black Americans realize that they can do better without the government promising them everything under the sun is the day that progressivism is over, and they know it. And apparently, they think that black people are so inherently stupid that they'll believe it. And that's your reality check, America. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube page, like us on Facebook and Twitter, and stay sane out there.